Denmark. A kingdom wrapped in darkness. A suspicious death. A ghost crying out for justice. And a young prince trapped between action and doubt. This is what the story of Hamlet tells us. It's written by William Shakespeare at the end of the 16th century, or The Tragedy of Hamlet, Prince of Denmark, its original title. It has become the most great portrait of human fragility in the face of power, betrayal, and death. It is Shakespeare's longest work and one of the most influential in English literature. This story explores the entire path of his tragedy, the political conflict, his family drama, and the prince's descent into madness, whether authentic or fake. Here we will follow the story as if it were happening before our eyes. Denmark lives strange hours after the recent death of King Hamlet. No one knows the whole truth. Its author probably based his work on two sources, the legend of Hamlet and a lost Elizabethan work known today as Your Hamlet or Original Hamlet. The fact that we can deduce by analyzing the other texts, the ghost of the former king manifests itself before the guards. He doesn't speak, he just looks at them with gravity as if demanding to be heard by someone else. Horace witnesses the ghost and confirms the resemblance to the deceased king. The spirit vanishes without uttering a word, but leaves urgency sown. Horatio remains calm. He knows who should know, the young Prince Hamlet, while the guards deal with the ghost. The interior of the castle celebrates something uncomfortable, the coronation of Claudio, brother of the deceased king, a hasty act as well as the immediate wedding with the widow Gertrudis. In the eyes of the people, a gesture of unity. But in the eyes of Prince Hamlet, a betrayal. The father's death is still recent. Hamlet doesn't understand why his mother got married so soon and why the crown didn't fall on him, but on his uncle. Something doesn't fit, but he has no proof of anything. Hamlet listens to the story of his father's ghost. Something in him already sensed that he had died without justice. He did not die from a snake bite, as Claudio announced. He was poisoned. For his own brother, the ghost demands revenge. Hamlet is marked forever. To be or not to be, that is the dilemma. To believe or not to believe. To act or to be silent. From this point, his internal struggle begins to fracture everything around him. The prince knows that if he rushes, he will die. The kingdom is under the absolute control of Claudius, so he decides to fake madness. What is a costume that protects him and allows him to maneuver? Polonio, the king's advisor, interprets madness as a love sickness caused by his daughter Ophelia. A wrong reading, but dangerous. Claudio watches Hamlet with growing distrust. Ophelia is the most fragile piece of the game. Daughter of Polonio, sister of Laertes, educated to obey and keep quiet. Hamlet loves her, but his mission forces him to push her away. Without being aware of it, Ophelia is left in the epicenter of the conflict that will destroy her. Hamlet finds an unexpected opportunity. He learns of the arrival of a passing theater company. An idea arises to represent a work that reflects the murder of the king. To observe Claudius' reaction. If he is guilty, his face will betray him. The work begins. A king is killed with poison poured into his ear. The scene copies exactly what the ghost told him. That was enough. Hamlet realizes that his uncle reveals his guilt without saying a word. The truth is confirmed. Claudio knows that Hamlet discovered the crime. Try to pray. He doesn't feel regret, but wants to avoid eternal condemnation. Hamlet sees him vulnerable. I could kill him. But he doesn't want to send a murderer to heaven in full prayer. He prefers to wait a moment for Claudio to suffer the complete consequences. Hamlet sees him vulnerable. This decision prolongs the disaster. Hamlet confronts his mother. He wants me to see the corruption of the new king. But Polonio, hidden behind a tapestry, accidentally interrupts. Hamlet, believing that he is Claudio, pierces the tapestry with his sword. Polonio dies instantly. A fatal mistake. The wrong man. And the point of no return. The spirit reminds him of his mission, not to forget revenge. Hamlet calms down, but Gertrudis doesn't see the ghost, believing that her son is really crazy. The death of Polonius destroys Ophelia. His mind can't stand the pressure. Sing, deliver imaginary flowers, speak in riddles full of pain. Laertes returns furiously demanding answers. Ophelia escapes from the castle in an episode of total disconnection. Shortly after, his body appears floating in the river. His death is narrated as an accident, but everything points to a suicide. Claudio can no longer tolerate the existence of Hamlet. He sends him to England with a secret letter asking for his immediate execution. Hamlet flees from the fate that had been prepared for him and returns clandestinely to Denmark. Hamlet arrives just as they prepare Ophelia's tomb. He doesn't know who the deceased is until he sees the courtship. Laertes jumps to the grave to hug his sister's body. Hamlet reveals himself alive, and both face each other. The tragedy intensifies. The duel between the two is inevitable. In a private room, Claudio and Laertes talk. Claudio manipulates Laertes with skill. He promises justice against Hamlet. Organize a public duel, but loaded with traps. A blunt sword for Hamlet, a sharp and poisoned sword for Laertes. A glass of wine also poisoned as a backup plan. 3 ways to kill the prince. One of them will have to work. Hamlet accepts the duel. He knows that something is not right, but he no longer evades his destiny. The duel is fast, elegant, tense. Hamlet starts winning. Claudio is worried. Gertrudis accidentally drinks the poisoned glass. Claudio looks at her terrified. He can't stop her without revealing the plan. Laertes wounds Hamlet with the poisoned sword. In the confusion, the two exchange swords. Hamlet hurts Laertes as well. The truth overflows. Hamlet, in his last minutes, goes through Claudio. Hamlet is in Horace's arms. Hamlet asks for only one final thing, that Horace tells the story as it happened. The prince dies. The chain of tragedies is complete. Forty-Meres, Prince of Norway, enters the scene. The kingdom is left without a legitimate ruler. Forty-Meres takes control and orders funeral honors for Hamlet. Hamlet's story is a mirror of the human condition. A young man trapped between doubt and action, a corrupt kingdom, a broken family, and the tension between morality, revenge, and truth. Shakespeare offers no solutions. It only shows the complexity of the soul and its contradictions. Hamlet is still valid because we have all faced decisions that demand more of us than we can give. Between ghosts, fallen kings, broken loves, and betrayals, Hamlet remains as the deepest tragedy of universal theater. A story where every step inevitably leads to destruction, and where the truth, although revealed, comes too late.
If you want to know more books like this, subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and like.